Actually, this Manhattan building worth 30 million proves that it was sold in a day, like hot горячие пирожки.
Hotcakes.
Like hot case, and it was sold in a day, like hot case. But retail investors, hot cakes. Sorry.
Tokenize, the YouTube channel that shows you the faces of blockchain-based real economy. Subscribe and find out how you can be a part of it.
Okay, so, hey everybody. I wanted to get to the nitty-gritty of the whole technological thing of Smartlands, how the platform's set up to work, what's the long-term perspective there, what's the technical background that allows Smartlands to be what it is today. Ilia, hey, pleasure to be here, pleasure to have you on. Let's get to it from the beginning. Smartlands hired you a little late in the game, so you came in, the thing was already rolling, and then you came on board with what purpose? At that time, was there a technology that needed improvement? Was there no technology at all? Was there a solution that they hired you specifically to implement? What was the, why did you agree to work with Smartlands?
I came to Smartlands, I started talking to Smartlands at late summer last year, and at the time a legal framework was just set in stone. The concept of tokenization was defined and invented, and at the time there was a really good development done at the wallet part and the tokenization, that's how to issue tokens on Stellar, trading, etc. But there was lack of technologies at the scope of regulations, or the scope of compliance, how we can make tokens to comply with FCA, with existing legislation. And my first task was actually to develop the regulated segment of Stellar network, where we can issue tokens compliantly.
So that was the actual purpose of hiring you. You had to develop a token fully regulated, perfectly compliant, with which Smartlands now can bring to market pretty much any security token offering there is in the world.
Yeah, so first of all, this task is mostly related to off-chain technologies. We have a set of oracles that are monitoring every transaction in our regulated segment, that are assigning every transaction before it's executed on the Stellar network. And I have really a huge background in cloud computing, in designing reliable and scalable cloud systems. So my background was really a good fit for the task, and we developed really a scalable application capable to handle 10,000 transactions per second, even more than Stellar network can handle at the moment, really quickly, and with good technology set, it's ready to have dozens, thousands projects tokenized, and dozens, thousands trades happens each 5 seconds. That is ledger close time on Stellar.
So it's the legendary Visa time. Visa claims to do like 100,000 transactions a second. They say that it's just almost impossible to scale to Visa numbers like 10, 20 compared to 100,000 a second. Is it true? I mean,
yes, there are different consensus algorithms, and of course, if we talk about proof of work that is powering Bitcoin blockchain, Ethereum blockchain, it's almost impossible. But at the moment, there are already developed other algorithms like proof of stake, delegated proof of stake, and federated Byzantine agreement that Stellar is based. Among our technical team, we really don't like, let's say, proof of stake, because it's a little bit how traditional finances are working. But federated Byzantine agreement, we think, is a perfect decentralization model, and with FBA, with Stellar consensus protocol, we can achieve almost Visa number of transactions without any troubles.
That was going to be my next question. We're sort of like smoothly segued right into that, because you guys have selected Stellar not by chance. You've done a lot of work figuring out which chain is the best for the end game of Smartlands. You decided that you were going to go with Stellar, or was it some other way around? Was it Stellar that came first? That's what I'm asking. Was it Stellar that came first to Smartlands, or was it Smartlands that selected Stellar as the main instrument for its implementation?
It was actually that decision was made before I joined the company.
Right, so
it was since the
they
beginning.
Came in,
but
they told you to develop on Stellar.
No, of course. When I came, we did huge research considering what algorithms will be best fit for our product. At the moment, there are even successful tokenization companies who run on Hyperledger, but we think that actually we need transparency and immutability that only public ledger can give us. And we also weighted additional features like development complexity, like existing functionality that is done, like traction that is made by foundation, but by Stellar Development Foundation. So and we decided that if talk about current market, Stellar is one of the best choices for tokenization and for implementing all features that are required in token economy, that are required for secondary trading. On Stellar, it's just a small smart contract. If you want to implement, let's say, atomic swap that will be built in our bulletin board solution, it's a small smart contract. If we want full-featured MTF trading exchange, like it's already built into the chain on DEX. So it was obvious choice.
So speaking of MTFs, I know you guys have just put up well, it's not a contract, it's more like a memorandum of understanding with Arcox. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Arcox, yeah.
Arcox? Okay, so Arcox, do you see the technical implementation of that union as of yet? Or is that a long road to hoe and you guys have a lot to figure out together?
Yeah, of course, we are in talks, in continuous talks with Arcox, and I cannot say that at the moment we already set in stone all the protocols, all the technical details of the implementation, but the road is almost clear and only details are remaining at the moment. Because we have just native tokens on the Stellar blockchain, and security tokens will be like every token on Stellar blockchain, just in a regulated segment. These tokens can be transferred, and Arcox can open a wallet on Stellar network, and these tokens can be put to this wallet. Yeah, there are minor details remaining to figure out, like how we'll account ownership rights on the Arcox exchange, how we will deal with hold requirement of SLT tokens for holders on Arcox blockchain, how we will distribute dividends, but it's really just a work in progress, and it's a matter of API integration with between our backend and Arcox backend. I cannot see that there are major troubles and deal breakers at all.
So I know you guys put out the two-year strategic program of development of Smartlands. Where do you see your company go in 5-10 years from today?
In 5-10 years, it's a really good question.
It is a long time, I know.
Yeah. We don't know how regulations will evolve in these 5-10 years, but my ultimate goal is more like for 2-3 years. We need to build a cool product that retail investors worldwide will use. Let's say Uber just transformed the taxi industry from the ground. They made a revolution. And our aim is to make the same kind of revolution in the ownership rights, in the investing. And that's the ultimate vision for next 2-3 years. We need to build a cool product that will allow you to invest into a particular property from a mobile phone.
Do you think it's possible?
Yes, that's definitely possible. And we have all the groundwork already done. We have legal framework. We have understanding how compliance should work in the public blockchain environment, how ownership rights can be recorded on the blockchain, how trading can happen, how investing can happen. So it's a matter of how we'll pack it into the product, what ultimate value proposition we will present to users. And in 5-10 years, that will be a long journey. I believe regulations will evolve. Maybe we will make Smartlands decentralized. We will not need licenses at all. It's just, I'm imagining. There might be a lot of interesting things. Believe if you don't need license, if you are the issuer, you put property on the blockchain, people invest into your property, you distribute dividends without middlemen. But if in 10 years regulations will evolve,
That's
technology
gonna
will
be a fight.
come. Yeah, that will be excited.
I've heard about a lot of great use cases for security token offerings. I think it's safe to say that as of today, it's a universally accepted instrument for crowdfunding. But I haven't really heard like thundering successes in this space. Can you comment on why is it that it's really not picking up?
Well, it's just the beginning of the game. Products, tokenization platform, issuance platform are just launched, and there are first STOs that maybe didn't attract lots of retail investors, but institutions I actually believe in that, and I personally can say that I see that digital ownership, security tokens is really a revolution in finances, and that's actually the case blockchain was designed for. I believe it's still a beginning of the road, and it's a matter of maybe marketing, maybe it's a matter of really good products, good user experience, so retail investors will start invest. We see tremendous interest among institutional investors, but retail investors didn't yet step in, as we can see, and but it's a matter of marketing, and it's a matter of good products. We are still just developed the product, and they will come. It's like Uber.
Yeah, Uberization of the economy. It sounds really great. But let me ask you this: you're dealing in an extremely intricate space. It's really complicated. I've been at this for a few years now, and it's perfectly clear to me that it's not for everybody. And yet, a lot of people that I'm talking to, a lot of websites, a lot of platforms are built for what you call Uberization of the space. Simplification, sometimes oversimplification of something that's really complicated and not accessible to a regular Joe, if you will. Why not just tell people, look, this is something that's really not for everybody. It's complicated, but the rewards are pretty substantial. So you might as well hit the books in a few months after, a little bit of trial and error. Maybe you'll succeed. But a lot of people making an emphasis on how simple it is, how great it would be to just hit a button and become the owner of
part of building.
Part of the building. Is it? I mean, can it really be that simple, or we're just sort of creating an extra marketing hype for this space? What do you think?
Yeah, I think both things need to be done, and first, of course, it's a matter of product. Product should be designed for the average Joe. I see there is actually lack in that matters on blockchain projects. They are not for everybody. It's not a surprise, and we need to change that. That's our next main goal. And of course, marketing also is important. Uber burned milliards of dollars of money to widespread the word worldwide. Yeah, so that's the two things. We need good product and marketing.
Right.
It's obvious.
You mentioned it, and I know it for a fact that for the purpose of asset tokenization, Stellar is probably the most appropriate, the most optimal blockchain there is. But does it matter which asset are we talking about? I mean, we have assets that are very different in nature. We have private equity, we have real estate. In fact, as far as I can tell, that's your very first tokenization project on Smartlands. There has to be some specifics in terms of the technical side of implementation of tokenization project. I mean, the difference makes a difference between a certain asset classes. Am I right or am I wrong? Or is it all just the same thing from the technical standpoint?
From a technical point, it's all the same thing, as long as we are talking about fungible tokens. I mean, the tokens that can be divided up to 7 digits. It doesn't matter. Stellar has perfect native support for such type of tokens, DEX integration, etc. Stellar smart contracts, and it's all the same for all type of equity, debt, etc. There are minor details in the legal framework for such type of tokens. Maybe if talk in details, let's say if there are debt bond tokens, we can put it on MTF, on exchange right away without MTF license, but it's like a variety in legal framework, but not on the technical side.
Let me ask you this. I've been to Consensus 2019 in New York City, and there was a Stellar meetup where Jed McCaleb, he's nice enough to answer a few questions from the public. Somebody asked him if Stellar plans on providing some extra support for people who are issuing certain tokens on that blockchain. And Jed McCaleb said that it's really everyone on their own in terms of further development on Stellar, and they're not going to provide extensive assistance to people who are issuing security tokens in Stellar. And it kind of bothered me. Are you aware of that? I mean, is that something that I misunderstood, or you haven't?
Yeah, so we are perfectly aware of that, and I can say that it's more like ask Microsoft to support every application that is built on Windows.
Right.
So for us, we cannot see that it's any kind of major issues associated with that. And Stellar Development Foundation are doing a great job. They are evolving Stellar network, making it more scalable, more easy to run full validator node. Yeah, they declare their main focus to be payments because they want to really transform how Vault Wire payments are done, and it's actually the name of product, Vault Wire.
That's the one they did with the IBM.
Yeah, so they are focused on that, but it's, let's say, their proprietary product where they want to make some money, probably. I'm not sure, I don't know. But they provide a perfect platform, that is Stellar blockchain, and as long as this platform is working and it's decentralized, so it's really almost impossible to turn it down, even if Stellar decide to leave, if Stellar Development Foundation decide to leave.
Is it possible that you guys are just like, go to hell with Stellar, we're going to go some other way?
Well, I personally and our team of developers consider, let's say, Stellar. There is a perfect analogy that, let's say, we compare blockchain with programming language. So we can develop website in Python, in Node.js, in PHP, and it's a matter of product. Now we are working with Stellar, and it's a blockchain layer where all settlement takes place, where all the transactions are going through, where tokens are accounted. But if we want, it will be not a big deal actually to move, maybe even to Ethereum with Ethereum smart contracts, maybe on EOS, on Telegram Open Network when it will be launched. They will have perfect support for smart contracts. I already read their documentation. I can say that our main value is actually competencies with on the compliance matters. We spent numerous times on the meeting with CMS lawyers. We really developed perfect understanding of how we can transfer ownership to be digital, and that's our main asset. That's where we see the main value of Smartlands. If we talk about our competitors, all of them are implementing, let's say, platform for tokenization, like SaaS product. And if somebody wants to issue security tokens, they need to do all the legal and compliance work on themselves. I will not mention any particular competitor, of course, but they have full support for regulation matters.
When you say you're not going to mention any competitors, do you mean on the technological side or on the commercial side, on the business side? There are like $15 trillion worth of assets around the world that can be tokenized. Basically, anything that has a documented rightful owner can be tokenized, which means that there's no such thing as competition in this space. Do you agree?
Yes, of course. There is. It's a blue ocean. There are room for everybody.
Speaking of blue ocean, what do you think of governments claiming rights for natural resources and then sort of throwing it right back at the people, but in the token form? Like some global entity or the United Nations or something else will claim the ownership of all the natural resources on Earth, and then it gets all tokenized on some sort of a super global blockchain highway so that every person on Earth gets to own a piece of the planet. What do you think of that?
That sounds interesting, and in 20
Do you think
years...
technically it's possible to implement something
Technically,
like
if we define a legal framework, Smartlands can support that behavior already.
that? We'll cut that to the end of the interview.
Okay.
That's a nice ending.
Tokenize, the language of the new blockchain-based financial markets. Can you speak it? Subscribe to Tokenize and let's find out together.